Straight ahead on 12 News, a Crystal teen's courageous fight and the humble wish that followed. Then, new findings about your college. See what's surprising graduating students. But first, a new development in Maple Grove to help address the area's changing demographics. 12 News starts right now. Maple Grove will soon be home to a new senior living campus.
The new development will fill a growing need to provide housing for an aging baby boomer population. St. Louis Park-based Silvercrest Properties plans to build the campus on a 9-acre plot of land on the southeast corner of Weaver Lake Road and Main Street. Delane Cleveland has more on what the project means for Maple Grove.
The intersection of Main Street and Weaver Lake Road in Maple Grove is home to a Lifetime Fitness, a number of new housing developments, and this big plot of vacant land.
Since I've been here, it's basically been a vacant lot.
City planner Peter Vickerman can remember a time in the not-too-distant past when much of the area looked like this.
Just a few years ago, there was a small portion of that land that was developed, and now we have development proposals and development occurring on almost the entire area surrounding the Central Park in that area.
One of those proposals just became official this week when Silvercrest Properties signed a deal to buy this 9-acre site from Maple Grove to develop a $34 million senior living campus, complete with 182 apartments.
And we saw some of the things that they've done in other communities and felt that it's a special place, it's a special project, and was fitting for that site.
Vickerman says there's a demand for senior living in Maple Grove, as evidenced by the Arbor Lake Senior Living Campus that sits a couple blocks away.
Well, the convenience, they got all the shopping you want.
This resident raves about the location and the nearby amenities. He welcomes the new senior campus.
Baby boomers are retiring, so there's big numbers right there.
Meantime, Maple Grove officials say there aren't any other plans for senior housing in the city, but it's only a matter of time.
We have an aging demographic, and that's the primary driver of that is people getting older, and a large group of people getting older. There's going to be more and more demand for these type of facilities.
In Maple Grove, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Construction is set to begin on the new senior living community this September, and it should be ready for new residents in December of 2014.
There may be enough votes on the Hennepin County Board to pass a so-called wheelage tax. Commissioner Jan Callison appears to have changed her mind since voting against it 2 years ago.
This is a pay-as-you-go. This is a way to pay today for the roads we need and not ask our children to pay for it later on.
The tax would cost car owners $10 a year more to register their vehicles. In all, it would raise $9 million a year for roads and transit in the county. Supporters say it would make up for neglected maintenance of the county's 2,200 miles of roads and highways. And 2 commissioners from the Northwest Metro are opposed. Jeff Johnson, who is also running for governor, says the county collects enough money.
Honestly, if we can't find another $9 million to make our roads safe and modern and efficient in a $1.8 billion budget, then we are not very good as a board at decision making, in my opinion.
There is no more regressive tax that I've ever seen come before this board than this one. It is flat and it's regressive, and it asks those with the least ability to pay it.
County commissioners are expected to vote on the wheelage tax proposal when they meet next week. She made a wish, and this week it came true.
Crystal teenager Amy Jo Ashford wanted to give back to a special group of students who helped her through ovarian cancer. But what the Totino-Grace senior got in return was an even bigger surprise. On stage with the Totino-Grace show choir, Amy Jo Ashford sparkles and shines with the same upbeat spirit she used to fight cancer.
I was diagnosed January 24th, and bam, 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 surgeries, chemo, and now I'm cancer-free.
An ovarian cancer survivor, this 17-year-old is on the stage now because a local wish-granting charity wanted Amy Jo to be their 500th wish recipient.
Couldn't have asked for a sweeter girl or a better opportunity.
Amy Jo's wish, not a fancy trip or celebrity meeting, but rather to give back to her show choir friends who helped her get through cancer.
I can't possibly thank you enough for everything you did. You did the smallest things, and sometimes it meant the world to me.
Amy Jo's wish was granted. With hugs and gift bags, the show choir got blankets, new costume racks, and steamers to iron their garments when they travel.
My show choir group was just like so loving and supporting, and really became like a family.
The Wishes and More organization also had a surprise for Amy Jo.
We knew we also had to do something that was for Amy Jo.
You're going to go to WeFest.
This summer, the country western-loving teen and her family will spend a weekend at WeFest to see the likes of Keith Urban and Carrie Underwood. She'll also be treated to a spa day with a friend. And this fall, when Amy Jo returns to the show choir stage, she'll be surrounded by friends, just as she's always been. In addition to the wishes granted by the local nonprofit, an anonymous man from Robbinsdale also gave Amy Jo 2 seats to see Kenny Chesney in concert this Friday night at the Target Field.
Three Rivers Park District is taking action to save some of its key ash trees from the emerald ash borer. And this week, they've begun treating about 100 trees in the park system. They're all in strategic locations like a campground or on a golf course. Without a pesticide injection, the emerald ash borer is likely to kill many trees as it spreads over the next few years.
We're picking specifically areas like the campground here, our golf courses, where we want to maintain some level of canopy for the near future so that we can get something established underneath them long term. But the campground here, it's more to maintain canopy for our campers. The golf course, it's tees and greens if we have nice trees lining those.
The cost is $100 to $150 per tree, and crews hope to protect all 100 by the end of the summer.
There are now official plans in the works for the old Maple Grove Library building. The building on Elm Creek Boulevard has been empty since the new library opened on Main Street back in May of 2010. Plans are underway now for a Spanish immersion daycare and preschool to open up in the space this fall. Children from 6 weeks to 5 years old will be instructed only in Spanish and fed only natural and organic foods. The center, called Jardin Magico, already has locations in Minneapolis, Edina, plus they open in Eden Prairie this month. The most highly anticipated construction in Northwest suburban dining is underway. You're looking at demolition work at the site of the future Travail restaurant. The project is up the street from the former Travail location, which is now home to Pig Ate My Pizza. The new location will open this fall, and it will not only include Travail, but also a cocktail and sandwich lounge called the Rookery. The city of Robbinsdale is using tax increment financing to fund the project. It's the money that the city hopes to recoup in property taxes from the new building. Still ahead, one of the most difficult decisions of a young person's life, choosing the right college.
Why some students may come to regret their college choice years later. Then later in sports, Wayzata battles Excelsior in a high-scoring contest in American Legion baseball.
But first, it's a look at your AccuWeather forecast.
Interest rates on federally subsidized student loans remain twice as high as they were last year, at least until Congress can come up with a resolution. Today, a Democratic-led effort failed to move forward in the U.S. Senate. It would have returned the rate on subsidized Stafford loans to 3.4%, currently at 6.8%. That would mean an extra $2,600 for the average student returning to campus this fall. A study out this year says college graduates are surprised by how much debt they have when they graduate.
Nearly 40% of those surveyed say they would have made a different college choice if they would have understood the cost. Reporter Shannon Slatton explains what else you need to consider in today's Money Savers.
Right now, high school juniors and seniors are starting to think about those tough decisions when it comes to college. Financial planner Nicole Mendorf is here to share a few tips with us. Now, Nicole, we know it's smart to save early, but a lot of people just don't.
Right. Ideally, you start saving as soon as your child's born and you have that Social Security number, but most people don't. And so if you have someone that's in high school, it's never too late to start saving. You can set up a 529 plan or a Coverdell account or even a Roth IRA if they're working and set money aside for them for higher education.
And if you haven't made a lot of those decisions, you should look at where you're going to college. You have 3 questions that
Right.
parents should talk about with their child. What are those?
Right. You really need to set the expectation because a lot of kids don't know. They don't understand, are you paying for it? Do they have to take out student loans? And so set the expectation of what you expect from them. But first, the first question is, should they be going to college at all? Could they go to a 2-year school? Do they even need a degree? And really, should they be really going to college? The second thing is then, if they are going to college, where they're going, and truly how much it's going to cost. Because a lot of times, kids really don't understand the concept of money. If they're taking out $100,000 of student loans, how many years it's going to take them to actually pay that money back?
And then you should look at the job market too. Will the job you get help you pay back that loan?
Right, absolutely. And so if you've dreamt of being a nurse or a teacher, and you go and you spend 4 years or even more getting this degree, and then you get that degree and you have all these student loans and you can't get a job, how are you going to pay that money back? And so you really need to look at, from a long-term standpoint, what makes the most sense for you.
All right, Nicole Middendorf, Prosperwell Financial here in Plymouth. Thank you for sharing those tips with us. We have a few budgeting calculators on our website at 12.tv/moneysavers to help guide you when you're having these discussions. Back to you, Alex and Mike.
All right, thanks, Shannon. Still ahead, a former Armstrong student's unique opportunity to become a future leader.
But first in sports, Jason Melillo catches up with a former Hopkins distance runner in this week's edition of The Next Level. John Jacobson with that and more when we come back. Finally, some good baseball weather out there. Not too hot and not too muggy, and a lot of kids playing. Got Wayzata, Totino, Armstrong playing.
Right. Keep them active over the summer.
That's
and playing
right.
the ball.
Yeah, I got league play coming up and district play coming up the end of July, and summer's flying by already. Passing the 4th of July means American Legion baseball teams are heading down the stretch run of the regular season. Wayzata paid a visit to Excelsior in South Hennepin League play. Excelsior strikes early. Ian Cody slams a hit to right field to bring Derek Branson and Aaron Kubel home. It's part of a 6-run first inning for Excelsior. Wayzata strikes back. 2 outs when Connor Olson delivers a hit to center. Christian Linhart and Jack Sorensen score, and they cut the deficit to 6-2. Down 8-2 in the 4th, Will Benega chopping it near the plate. Joe Martinson bobbles it and then throws it away. Sorensen scores, and Wayzata is within 8-3. Bottom of the 5th, Luke Pedersen shoots a ball to the gap in left center. Onto the left fielder's glove and to the wall. Alex Port comes around to score. Pedersen's waved in 2. He, though, is out at the plate to end the inning. Down 10-4, Wayzata comes back in the 6th. Nick Olmanson's hit scores Jake Marsh and Jordan Sell, but it's Excelsior holding off Wayzata for a 10-7 win. In contrast to that one, a pitcher's duel as Westphal Armstrong visits Totino-Grace. Reggie Meyer on the hill for the Eagles. A strikeout ends the top of the 1st. Meyer pitches strong all game. Hits and runs hard to come by, and a great defensive play here. Westphal center fielder Nick Snyder laying out and taking a hit away from Joe Lewis. Scoreless through 6 innings, but in the top of the 7th, Westphal gets a run. Danny Carlson hustling home on the wild pitch, and it's 1-0 Armstrong. Jake Wetzner pitches very effectively for Westphal. A strikeout ends the game. Westphal Armstrong wins it over Totino-Grace 1-0. Hopkins High School grad John Klecker won the Gary Bjorklund Half Marathon in Duluth a few weeks ago. The 19-year-old had never competed at that distance, but put together a gutsy race and beat the runner-up by 8 seconds. Jason Melillo profiles Klecker on this week's The Next Level.
John Klecker prides himself on being a smart runner and letting his mental game drive his physical performance.
You got to get real used to just channeling those positive thoughts and just letting the negative ones, just kind of stand by.
At the Bjorklund Half Marathon on June 22nd, Klecker's confidence built throughout the race, and he surged to victory despite having never competed at a distance of more than 5 miles.
It was pretty crazy. Me and my dad had talked about it the night before going into the race, and we both thought that if I ran really well and the conditions were nice and everything, I was going to run a really competitive race and I would be up there. But we didn't really talk about me winning it, and I knew at about mile 4 or 5 when I started running people down. I was like, if I keep clicking miles off like this and feeling this good, that, deeper into the race, I'm going to have a chance to run away with it. And I just kept running people down and I'll get this guy, I'll get this next guy, get this next guy. And I got to 7 or 8 miles to go, and I passed 2nd place, and then I just had one guy to run down, and it was Brian, I think. He was in the lead. I mean, he was running a real strong race. It took me like 3 miles to get him, and then we just kind of dueled it out for the last 2, and I got him in the last 300 meters going into Canal Park.
Klecker was a very good high school runner at Hopkins, but never a state or even section champion. He now runs at Augustana College in Sioux Falls, where the competition and longer races are making him better.
The competition is definitely smarter. One thing my captains told me in a cross-country race, in college is in an 8K, when someone goes by you, and in high school it's like, oh, they go out fast, they're probably going to come back. In 8K, they don't come back. They're out there and they're putting in the work, and you either go by someone or like you're going to get passed. It's not the same where you can just kind of hang in there until the middle of the race, and then just throw in a surge and make you up to the front. Like, you got to be grinding the whole 8K.
But Klecker might be most suited to longer distance running, half marathons, and maybe one day full marathons. He has the bloodlines to do it. His mother Janice is a former Olympic marathoner who won Grandma's in 1987, and his father Barney is also a champion distance runner who won Grandma's in 1978.
My dad was real proud that whole day, and that was one of the reasons I was so happy, was because he had won it and my mom had won it, and that's probably one of his favorite marathons to run, so he was really excited. He knows the race director and everything, so it was good for him and good for me. And it was actually Scott Keenan. It was his last year directing the race, so it was kind of fitting. My dad won it the second year. Now I'm kind of coming around. Now it's my turn.
Two of John's sisters also ran in the Yorkland Half Marathon. His twin sister Mary finished 34th, and his younger sister Elizabeth took 21st place. Elizabeth is only 14 years old.
Wow.
It's quite the running family, and John, a great race for him.
Absolutely, all in the genes,
yes,
it looks
it
like. Still ahead, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity after college.
Where a U of M student and former Armstrong grad is headed when we come back. Well, finally, an Armstrong High School graduate will spend this summer at a pretty prestigious address, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Daniel Lightfoot of Plymouth was one of about 150 students chosen to participate as a White House intern. Students work in one of several White House departments, ranging from the Domestic Policy Council to the Office of Communications to the Office of Scheduling. Lightfoot studied political science at the University of Minnesota, and he previously interned for Senator Al Franken. So quite the summer internship, I would
gets
say.
back to school and they say, where'd you spend the summer?
1600.
White House.
Yeah, exactly. That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Stay with us. Community Corner is coming up next, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.